Former Duchess of York Sarah Ferguson has been labelled desperate and a degenerate in the latest instalment of the Epstein files, with emails between her and Jeffrey Epstein revealing she was regularly chasing money and attention from the convicted.
After years of whispered rumors and financial chaos, emails no one expected storm into the spotlight. From the wreckage of bankruptcy and royal privilege, Sarah Ferguson's correspondence with Jeffrey Epstein has emerged, and the contents are shaking observers to their core. Whispers of desperation, bizarre spending habits, and long-buried dependency ignite fierce debate, while critics and former supporters brace for impact. Sources hint at consequences no royal connection could have prevented. Is this evidence of manipulation, calculated survival, or spectacular self-destruction? What exactly did those emails say? Who kept bailing her out? And why does this moment feel like the final unraveling of the Duchess of Excess? This is the story of how a woman once married into the British royal family managed to spend millions on the most absurd luxuries imaginable, all while begging a convicted sex offender for cash to cover her rent. Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, earned the nickname Duchess of Excess for good reason. And the details that have emerged paint a picture of financial chaos that defies belief.
Justice, and it goes from bad to worse for Sarah Ferguson, because I don't think until now we really understood the sort of depth of her relationship with Jeff.
Westminster Abbey hosted her wedding to Prince Andrew, and with that ceremony came entry into a world of privilege most people can only dream about. What she did with that privilege has become the subject of a damaging biography and thousands of leaked emails, all revealing just how spectacularly she managed to spend her way into ruin. The spending details are extraordinary. A recent biography reveals that Sarah Ferguson employed 17 staff members at one point. 17, including a cook, driver, maid, butler, dresser, nanny, 3 secretaries, a personal assistant, a lady-in-waiting, an accountant with an assistant, 2 gardeners, a flower arranger, and a dog walker. And what exactly did this army of employees do with their time? Among other duties, they meticulously ironed all of her underwear, every piece. And if any laundry failed to carry the scent of her preferred fabric conditioner, everything went back for rewashing.
But the fact is, she is very greedy, she is very stupid, and she is very naive, and she's drawn into the ambit of these people, predators like Epstein.
2 hot water bottles appeared in her bed each night with water measured to exact temperatures. Orange juice had to be freshly squeezed precisely as she sat down to the table, or she refused to drink it. 300 pounds vanished every single week on vegetables from Waitrose. Freezers sat stuffed with ice creams that nobody touched. Bendix, the Jack Russell, dined on proper meals prepared by staff. Dishes like liver or sausages with gravy. Family dinners resembled medieval banquets featuring a whole side of beef, a leg of lamb and chicken, and much of the food ended up in the bin after meals.
Extreme poverty. They've realised they cannot continue. Sarah has been tainted in this way, and her association with Epstein is becoming more and more apparent, and lots of details, and humiliating details.
But here is where it gets more absurd. 25 suitcases accompanied Ferguson to airports, racking up between 800 and 1,400 pounds in excess baggage fees on each trip. 25 suitcases. 5 of those cases held nothing but toiletries and makeup, and 1 suitcase contained only clothes. Hangers. Not clothes. Just the hangers themselves. 65,000 pounds went to a personal trainer she used exactly twice. Twice. A Selfridges bill through a personal shopper reached 51,000 pounds. 1 month at a London wine merchant cost her 14,000 pounds. 6,500 pounds in charges piled up from using the Queen's special mail service to send extravagant gifts like silver letter openers and cufflinks.
When you said about an interview with Oprah Winfrey, then I thought, no, actually, that is completely possible. That's exactly what's going to happen. And she, Fergie, greedy little piglet, she absolutely loves the...
And she never paid any of it. A 500-pound bill at her local newsagent proved too much for her to handle. Creditors chasing her eventually included a butcher, a dry cleaning company, and a car hire firm. Her BP petrol card got confiscated because the bills sat unpaid. By the mid-90s, her debts had climbed past £3.7 million. Coates Bank demanded £500,000 within 14 days, and the late Queen Elizabeth II stepped in to bail her out. None of that stopped the spending, and that is when Jeffrey Epstein enters the story.
What more can you tell us about her relationship with Epstein and this 15 grand and the fallout?
Well, it's not 15 grand. I mean, my source.
Bank records show Epstein wired Ferguson $150,000. Her spokesperson claimed this related to share options she earned as a Weight Watchers ambassador, with the money repaid within 48 hours. The financial relationship between them stretched far beyond that single transaction. Her style company Hartmore collapsed, burying her under hundreds of thousands in fresh debt. Estimates of her total obligations at the time ranged between £2 and £5 million. Bankruptcy looked like a real possibility. Her solution was to turn to Epstein, a man who had just walked out of prison after conviction for soliciting a minor for sex.
Had been in trouble before, she's been nearly bankrupt, she's had huge money worries, and certainly the public have always taken to her. But I think that this is a step far too far, because she will not.
An urgent email from Ferguson to Epstein surfaced, asking for £20,000 for rent that very day, with a warning that her landlord threatened to contact the newspapers if she failed to pay. Another request followed shortly after, asking whether she could borrow $50,000 or $100,000 to help with what she called small bills. After the money apparently arrived, her reply read, "You are a legend, just marry me." Those words sit uncomfortably alongside everything we now know about Epstein. Up to 15 years of financial support from Epstein reportedly followed, with estimates putting the total around £2 million.
She sent an email to Jeffrey Epstein, and it's now been made public, and she called him a supreme friend. Now,
Ferguson publicly admitted she had taken £15,000 from Epstein, calling it a gigantic error of judgment and declaring she abhorred pedophilia and would never have anything to do with him again. 1 month after that public statement, she sent him an email that told a completely different story. "You have always been a steadfast, generous, and supreme friend to me and my family." Apologies poured out for publicly criticizing him, along with an explanation that she had been bedridden with fear. That email went public recently, and the consequences arrived fast. 7 charities cut ties with her, including the Teenage Cancer Trust, an organization she had been associated with for 35 years.
She also wrote, "I am at your service, just marry me." And this, "When are you going to employ me?" Also, "And phew, you still love."
The behavior documented in those emails fits into a larger pattern of financial chaos and questionable judgment that has defined Sarah Ferguson's life outside the royal family. As each new wave of Epstein documents emerged, the scrutiny on her relationship with him grew more intense. From the initial wire transfers to the desperate rent requests, from the public denials to the private declarations of loyalty, each revelation added another layer to a story that simply refused to fade. For many observers, the email praising Epstein as a steadfast friend represents something even more disturbing than the financial dependency itself. It signals that even after publicly condemning him, even after declaring she would never have anything to do with him again, she was still reaching out with gratitude and apology.
It's continuing. I mean, last year, Sarah lost 6 patronages to different charities that she was involved with. Now her own charity, Sarah's Trust, is being shut down.
The present situation looks bleak. Ferguson has been evicted from Royal Lodge alongside Andrew, Mountbatten Windsor. She recently sold a London townhouse, taking a significant loss on the sale. Her entire net worth now represents an amount that would not cover a terraced house in Windsor. Sarah's Trust, her charitable foundation, has announced it will close for the foreseeable future. One royal insider described Epstein's view of Ferguson bluntly, saying he was not particularly fond of her and saw her more as a useful idiot who offered him access to Andrew's good graces, and through that, a path to the royals.
Now, I want to ask you about Sarah Ferguson. Look, this is, of course, Andrew's ex-wife. She's in a world of pain over this. Now, we know from emails that she sent to Epstein that she called him the brother I have always...
Royal expert Jenny Bond put it this way: "I've always thought her downfall was her hopeless grasp of money, combined with her desire to have more of it." That assessment captures the essence of what these emails and spending records reveal. A woman who could spend £65,000 on a trainer used twice, who traveled with suitcases full of coat hangers, who maintained 17 staff members while unable to pay a £500 newsagent bill. And when the debts became too much, when the creditors closed in, when bankruptcy loomed, she turned repeatedly to a convicted sex offender for financial rescue. The spending habits documented in the biography and confirmed through multiple sources paint a picture of someone utterly disconnected from financial reality.
Because she again, similar to Mandelson, knows a lot of information and has nothing to lose. And she's money hungry at the moment. So I think that there will be an opportunistic book deal that potentially comes into
300 pounds weekly on vegetables while freezers sat stuffed with untouched ice cream. A dog eating gourmet meals prepared by staff while medieval-style banquets ended with most food thrown away. Orange juice that had to be squeezed at the exact moment she sat down, or she would refuse to drink it. Underwear that had to be ironed to perfection, or the entire load went back for rewashing. These were not the habits of someone living within her means or even attempting to. These were the habits of someone who believed privilege meant never having to think about cost. And when that belief collided with reality, when the bills came due and the creditors started calling, the result was catastrophic.
Most of Andrew's issues stemmed from Fergie's insane lavish lifestyle that she demanded. I mean, the credit card bills, millions of pounds in debt that she found herself in.
The emails to Epstein tell a different but equally damaging story. Desperate pleas for rent money, warnings about landlords threatening to go to the press, requests for tens of thousands to cover what she dismissively called small bills. And then, after receiving the money, effusive gratitude bordering on romantic. "You are a legend, just marry me." Followed by public condemnation of Epstein. Followed by private emails apologizing for that condemnation and praising him as a steadfast friend. The gap between her public statements and her private actions reveals a pattern of saying whatever was necessary to manage the moment while continuing the very behavior she claimed to have ended.
That meeting was revealed to have been Andrew asking for money to pay off Fergie's credit card bills. So I think she should also testify in front of the Congress, and she should absolutely be talking to authorities, because
Years before these emails became public, there were warning signs visible to anyone paying attention. The mounting debts, the Queen's bailout, the collapsed businesses, the lifestyle that never adjusted to match actual income. According to the leaked emails and bank records, Ferguson maintained a level of spending that required constant infusions of cash from external sources, with Epstein becoming one of the most significant of those sources over more than a decade. So when you look at Ferguson's spending records, the desperate emails to Epstein, the public denials followed by private gratitude, and the financial wreckage she left behind, do you see someone trapped by circumstance, or do you see someone who made choice after choice that led inevitably to this moment? The suitcases are packed. The staff are gone. The charities have severed ties. And the emails remain as permanent evidence of how far she fell and who she turned to when the fall became too steep. The spending was absurd. The dependency was real. And the consequences are still unfolding.